Everybody, don't forget, if you're new to this channel, make sure you watch my first time buyer playlist. In the playlist section, this is the first thing you'll need to see if you're trying to figure out the mortgage process. It teaches you the basics first, the ABCs, everything I would want to know if I didn't know anything about this process at all. So the purpose of this show is to give transparency into anything that could affect you on a mortgage. To explain this phenomenon of the higher rates with higher loan amounts, I'm going to explain it in as simple terms as possible, and I think you'll understand this with the analogy that I'll give at the end. But when a mortgage company makes a loan, it's almost always sold off to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac after closing. That's like 95% of the time what happens. Sold to them or another government agency. And mortgage companies have to do this to stay liquid. They can't hold those loans on their books forever. They just don't have the bandwidth to do it. But the government can help them do this. So that's what they do. And each loan is sold off with other loans into groups of loans. Now, these groups of loans that each individual loan is going to be sold off to is going to be totaled up to a total balance of like somewhere between $5 or $10 million. And when these loans are placed into groups of loans at Fannie and Freddie, it's either a small loan being placed into a group with other small loans or a larger loan being placed into a group with other larger loans. Okay, so with the small loan groups, the way it works is that each loan is then a smaller piece of the pie. So if it fails, it's not as bad for the whole pool of loans as a group collectively. So that smaller loan can have a little bit better of an interest rate because it has less of an impact to the whole group, carrying less risk behind it. So conversely, with the larger loan groups, each loan is then a larger piece of the pie. There's then less of those loans needed to make a whole large loan group. And so if it fails, it's worse for the whole pool. So that larger loan usually gets a bit of a higher interest rate because if it has more of an impact to the whole group, it then individually carries more risk if it fails. So with higher risk, you're going to be given a higher interest rate. And the analogy I'm going to use here to help you understand it is this, okay? It's similar to if you have a 4-building apartment complex that you're renting out versus a 100-unit building apartment complex. So if you have a 4-unit building and rent out all the units and one person stops paying the rent, well, you just lost 25% of your income. So that's 1 out of 4 in the pool or the building that carries a lot of weight, each individual renter. But if you had a building of 100 apartment units and one person stops paying rent, then you only lost 1% of your income. So that's less risk, okay? So now with the mortgage, loan limits regulate all this, okay? There's a loan limit line in every county in the country that determines if a loan is put into a group of loans with other smaller or larger loans, and that then has a significant effect on the interest rate. And so yes, you can, if you can manage to get a loan under that loan limit, have it be put with the smaller loans, it can give you a better interest rate. Sometimes it's a significant difference, sometimes not at all. It depends case by case. And in some counties, they only have loan limits where they keep every loan with just other groups of small loans. Okay, so you don't have to worry about that in some parts of the country, especially in rural counties all across the country. And in fact, in Texas, that's how it is in every county. They don't have these larger limit loan groups. And then finally, there's jumbo loans. These can carry rates that are higher or lower than those loans that are placed into the small loan amount groups. Now, different variables run pricing here, and these loans aren't sold off to Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac after closing these jumbo loans. This is a totally different set of circumstances there. But that's a whole nother topic to cover. But guys, thanks for following along, and please tell a friend about this channel. It'll help them out a lot. Thank you.